It's time now for Movie Spotlight, your weekly ticket to the world of film, from the hottest blockbusters to hidden indie gems and everything in between. And joining us today in the studio are our resident movie critics, Darcy Paquet. Hello, Darcy.
Hi, Alana.
And Jason Bechervaise. Welcome, Jason.
Hello, Alana.
Now, Darcy, for this week's Korean selection, you're recommending The People Upstairs. This is the latest work from well-known actor Ha Jung. He's, of course, a familiar face on the big screen now for more than 2 decades, but he's actually the director of this film.
That's right. This is his 4th feature film as a director. He started a little over a decade ago with a comedy called Fasten Your Seatbelt that came out in 2013. And then a year later, he came out with this movie, Chronicle of a Blood Merchant, which is based on a well-known Chinese novel. And so he had those pair of movies, back then. And this year as well, he's released 2 films. And so there was the movie Lobby, which we actually reviewed on the show back in April.
We did. And
now we have this new release. It's called The People Upstairs. It's Wichip Saramdo in Korean. And this premiered at the Busan Film Festival in September. It also screened abroad at the London East Asia Film Festival in October, and it opened in theaters this Wednesday. So Ha Jung appears both in front of the camera and behind the camera. He's directing himself together with Gong Hyo and Kim Dong-wook and Lee Han-hee.
And I understand that this film, it isn't an original screenplay. It's actually a remake of a Spanish hit. Could you tell us a bit more about the source material and how this Korean version approaches it?
Yes, it seems like every other Korean film is a remake these days. But originally this was a stage play, which was called Sentimental in Spanish. The writer-director, Sesuke, he became quite popular, or this play of his that he wrote, came out in 2015, and then it was already quite popular internationally in the years after it debuted. It was staged in like 20 countries or so. And then he decided to turn it into a film in 2020. And that did well. And then it was subsequently remade in Italy and Switzerland and France. Apparently a US remake is also in the works. So it's definitely a story that has kind of proven international appeal. It's been shown to work in a lot of different countries, and at the same time you can feel its origins from the stage. Almost the entire story takes place in one single apartment, just for a couple very brief scenes otherwise.
Well, Darcy, clearly, as you said, it's a story with legs if it's travelling across so many countries. Can you tell us a little bit more about the film's plot, obviously without giving away too much?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail for a couple of reasons, but it centers around this married couple, played by Gong Hyo and Kim Dong-wook. She, I think, had dreams of being an artist and didn't quite happen. She's an art instructor. Her husband dreamed of becoming a successful film director, and he hasn't really broken through either. And then their marriage too, it doesn't seem to have really worked out as either of them have hoped. We can tell that they're not particularly close. And so one day, Gong Hyo-jin's character decides to invite the upstairs neighbors over for dinner, and they're meeting them for the first time, although they've heard them upstairs. And these are played by Ha Jung and Lee Han-hee, and this couple is very much the opposite in character from the downstairs couple. The upstairs couple is very direct. They're very open-minded. They're very sexually frank. And, basically you have this combination of personalities that slowly and then gradually, building, it leads to a lot of drama.
And what did you think of the film?
I had a lot of fun when I was watching it. I think it's well acted. It's well scripted. I assume that they're following pretty closely on the original. It has a lot of dialogue. It's a rare example of a Korean film that they put Korean subtitles on the screen for the local audience. And I think it was because the characters are speaking really quickly and you have to kind of concentrate to keep up with the dialogue. And, there's very little kind of pausing for breath, because once this gets started, it just kind of builds on, one thing after the other. But I think it does, for me it worked. I think that the film was able to maintain its energy. Something like this, if you're not careful, in the middle, it kind of starts to flag. Most movies kind of struggle around that 60 to 70% mark. But for me, the film always kept my interest. I really liked the actors in this film. It was a good opportunity to see these really talented actors working together. And they obviously felt kind of really comfortable with each other. And so there's good chemistry between the actors. And, I would say probably it's Ha Jung-woo's most successful film to date. I mean, I've seen his previous films. Each of them have strong points and weak points. But this one, I liked it.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like there's a lot on the actor's shoulders if the scenery is, I don't want to say dull, but just in that one apartment.
Yeah.
So, it's good that it kept your interest for so long. Jason, have you seen it? What did you think?
I have. I saw it yesterday. I saw it last night, and it's a lot of fun. I had a blast with it, actually.
Yeah.
It was very amusing. Ha Jung-woo, I agree with Darcy. It's his best film to date. I've not been so keen on his other films, but clearly he was having a great time with this movie, and. Yeah, I think it works because, it's basically split into these different chapters, isn't it? And they kind of move from like room to room and then the conversations kind of veer off in the different directions, which gives it that energy.
Okay.
And Ha Jung-woo's performance in the film is just terrific. I think that's one of his best performances I can remember in a long time. He's just so kind of direct and just eccentric. Actually, it's not something. It's not.
It's a different kind of look.
Yeah.
We don't associate this image with Ha Jung-woo, but
He's
he pulled it
directing
off.
himself, right?
Yeah, there's this brilliant sequence where things kind of erupt, explode, and the two male characters get into a fight, and normally you get the other guy like responding with another punch, but he's on the receiving edge, the Ha Jung-woo character, and he's just like, yeah, bring it on. He's kind of like
great energy.
And it also, Darcy mentioned the remakes, and so that clearly that is a trend in Korean cinema. A lot of films have done quite well, based on IP from elsewhere. Handsome Guys and many others. But there is also this interesting trend in terms of films that are set in apartments and dealing with issues like living so close to each other. So there's like Wall to Wall, which is a Netflix movie. There's Noise, and they're kind of horror movies. The complaints of obviously people talking and doing stuff next door, upstairs or downstairs. In this movie, it's a comedy, and it's kind of a rom-com, and so it's different, but I guess you could see it part of this kind of wider work that's emerging, and people can identify with, and also explores relationships and the troubles that people encounter. I wasn't so keen on the way it ended. I get why they did that, but. I'm trying not to say too much, but I had a really good time with it. It was a lot of fun, and people on my screen were laughing, and I want to see it again. I want to see it with my wife, actually. Yeah.
That's a great review. It's so nice you want to see it twice. Darcy, how's it doing at the box office?
It's doing okay. Like, it opened at number 3, and it's obviously a tough market. It sold 25,000 tickets on its first day, and so. I think it'll need to hang around for a while in order to kind of make back its budget. It is a mid-budget film, and so it's, significantly below kind of an ordinary, the level of an ordinary commercial film, but it's also significantly above the level of an independent film. So, but if it has good word of mouth, I think it'll stick around for a while. It reminds me a lot of this film called Intimate Strangers, which was released a couple of years before the pandemic. And that, too, was a remake of a European film. The whole thing was set around a dinner table. A very similar type of project. That film sold 5 million tickets. And, we're in a different era now. And this movie isn't going to do those numbers. But, perhaps it's a sign that this type of film, can produce some positive word of mouth, which the movie will need in order to break even.
We're going to switch gears now completely from dinner table confessions to a world filled with talking animals.
Yeah.
Jason, your pick today is the Disney sequel,
That's
Zootopia
right.
2. It's the first movie was released in the mid-2000s. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so that was back in 2016, which feels like a different era. And, watching the second installment, I think things have changed. And get on to that shortly. But yeah, the first was a smash hit, generating over $1 billion at the box office, directed by Brian Howard and Rich Moore. The film, I'm sure many are familiar with it. A police rookie Rabbit teams up with a con artist Fox as they seek to solve a conspiracy surrounding the disappearance of, predators. And obviously she's facing a lot of, opposition to her being, in the police force.
Okay, and so is this sequel just picking right back up where we left off?
Pretty much. Now they've become official partners at the Zootopia Police Department. But yeah, their different personalities clash. The rabbit, Judy, believes there's a snake lurking around.
Now, is that literally or metaphorically a snake?
It's literally a snake.
Literally, okay, just double checking.
It's, what snake is it actually? I can't remember. But that pit viper, there you go.
Okay.
And yes, again, no one believes her. And her partner in crime, he's hesitant, but then realizes she's actually onto something. And, they want to investigate. They're told not to. And stuff happens, basically. And they end up discovering a web of conspiracy. So, that's pretty much in terms of this plot. It's directed by Jared Bush and Brian Howard. And Brian Howard was behind the first film, one of the directors.
You liked the first one, Jason. Did the second one live up to your expectations?
No.
Oh.
It really didn't. I was really disappointed. I just found it a bit... I mean, the animation's beautiful and the music's good. Shakira, that's probably one of the best moments in the movie, that whole set piece, which comes actually not at the... Or it does come at the end, but it comes kind of quite early on as well. But yeah, I just found... What I love about the first film is that, the animation's terrific. The characters are great and it's got a terrific OST as well. But I love the story and I love the themes that it embraces, diversity, multiculturalism, and this film feels a bit more muted in that sense. It feels like it wants to be very careful. And as a result, I just came out thinking, the first one was made in a different era, I think just a few months before Trump was elected. And this is, obviously animations take a long time to make. So this was in production well before we had Trump 2.0. But I think politics in America has changed and that's reflected in the film. And so I just felt that, sure, you get some of the themes that are in the first movie. Obviously you've got animals and different animals. And you've got conflict, but I don't know if Darcy, did you watch it? I don't know if you...
I watched it and I also didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt that the story didn't really have anywhere to go.
Sure.
In the original, you have these two main characters who are complete opposites, and you have this rabbit and a fox, and the story is the process of these two very opposite characters gradually coming together, and that gives the movie its shape. Whereas in this film, at the beginning of the film, they're partners and, they throw a bunch of adventures their way, but there's really no dramatic development in that way. They're just trying to come up with things for them to do. And, the world building as well, like in the first film, it felt very unique. And, there were interesting details scattered throughout this world. And then, by the second, we're familiar with the world already. And, they can provide a few interesting details here and there. But it felt pretty underwhelming.
So our esteemed movie critics aren't loving it.
I know,
what
really
about other critics?
Disappointing.
More
Sorry.
generally. Actually, we previously covered on Korea Trending that the animation has earned a spot among the 35 eligible titles in the animated feature film category for the upcoming Oscars. Does it have a chance?
No. K-pop Demon Hunters. That's going all the way. That's a better movie. It's way better than this. I love K-pop Demon Hunters, but it does underscore a really interesting. We talked about trends earlier, but this is another one. Animations. They are performing gangbusters in the box office. I do a data analysis class, and we kind of delve into the box office. And we discovered, with my students, half the half the top 10 films in the Korean box office, at least at one point, they were all animations.
Wow.
You know, Japanese anime, of course, you know, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and, you know, you've got Hollywood animations as well doing, obviously clearly doing quite well, very well at the moment. Zootopia. Zootopia is on, 2.5 million tickets last time I checked.
It's doing incredibly well in China. It's like the biggest Hollywood film in China for several years.
And speaking of China, they had Ni Zha 2, which generated $2 billion in one market.
That's incredible.
So, you know, Bong Joon-ho, you know, he's always ahead of the game. Guess what? His next movie is an animation. So, titled The Valley, I think. But yeah, you know, animation is something special is happening with that. And very resilient, you know, compared to some of the other genres that are struggling at the box office in the post-pandemic climate.
Unfortunately, that's where we have to leave this week's movie spotlight. Thank you so much to both our film critics for joining us. Darcy Paquet, thank you.
Thanks.
And Jason Bechervaise.
Yeah, thank you for having me.